Morning, guys. Welcome to my Compound Life. I'm your host, Jonathan. This is a channel where we build assets, we build habits, and of course, it all leads to freedom. That should really be financial freedom, time freedom for you, me, and anyone else that watches my channel. Why do I always emphasize on time freedom? Because now I've got time to make more YouTube video, which is one of my tiny little passion projects. So, by the way, I'm a small content creator. If you guys can help me out, hit the like, hit subscribe, turn on notification, and let me know who you are, where you guys watching from in the comment section. I really appreciate that. So this is yet another Bitcoin daily video. At the time of recording, we are on the 17th of January 2026, around 8 a.m. in the morning. So good morning to you if you're watching in the UK. Good afternoon if you're watching in Asia. And of course, good night. Well, you guys stayed up pretty late in the US. Anyway, let's start with the price action for Bitcoin now. So Bitcoin right now is at 95,114 from the time of recording. So Bitcoin has been trading around 95,000 to 95,500 in the past 24 hours. It certainly went down small, about 0.3 to 0.5%, starting from about 95,800, hitting a high near 95,800 and a low around 94,300. We are still about 24% away from the previous all-time high of 126,000. Let me adjust the light a little bit. Seems my face is very, very, very bright and white. Okay, let me turn it down a bit. Hang on there. Yeah, I think that's better, right? Right, not too shiny face. Of course, I think for now, Bitcoin is still holding. It's still holding steady, but showing some hesitation after yesterday's minor pullback. I'll explain a little bit of what causes some of that minor pullback in the news section. With no major breakout above 96,000 yet. Okay, so if we look at the 4-hour chart, okay, I think we might be seeing a consolidation pattern, right? Forming after the recent rally. So we had some rally earlier, sometime on the 13th, rally up until about the 14th. And then now we kind of consolidating pattern. Okay, so price has been ranging tightly between 94,000 to about 95,500. So this seems to be a support for now. I mean, it does drop a little bit, but hoping for this to be a support. But surely for now, 9,500, the top of 9,500, maybe 95,800 seems to be the kind of resistance. Yeah, 95,500 to about 95,800. Okay, so this suggests buyers are defending the lower end while sellers kept the upside for now, but the ranging, it's getting smaller. So that's good. So it might be coiling up. Okay, so maybe we will see a breakout soon, but we will see. Volume has definitely dipped, slightly indicating a lower volatility in the short term. Okay, if we break above this level, 95,800 with strong volume, it could signal fresh upward momentum. Okay, so that's what we all hope for. Okay, so if we look at 1-day chart, so moving average, it's a little bit of a mixed signal for now. 50 days moving average is around 90,000 here. It's not going up as much because the price action hasn't been moving that quickly. For 200 days moving average, it sits below 106,000. So short-term trend, it's neutral, with price above the 50 days moving average showing some resilience, right? I'm not saying that we are fully getting out of the bear market just yet, but at the same time highlighting the fact that we are nowhere near a bull market, okay? But I've got a very, very bullish chart towards the end, so you guys might want to check that out. On why I still think it may still have potentially a good dead cat bounce, one. Or second thing could be the fact that Bitcoin price can actually go higher. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, but short-term trends, I think neutral. That's how I felt. But we need to sustain closest above recent high, right? We need to sustain this. Okay, we need to sustain this. And sustaining, it essentially means a close above 96,500 on the daily chart, like this. Not like this, not the red ones, but need something more solid, basically. This level has acted as resistance lately. Seller keep pushing back here. Ideally, the full candle body on the next day, right? Needs to close above, not just a quick wick up. Okay, so and of course, picking up in trading volume to confirm buyer interest is also pretty important, which for now the volume are quite small. Okay, so my honest read, the market is in a wait and see mode after recent gains, right? So we did have some gains. I think, markets are essentially just waiting and see whether there are any more catalysts coming. I'll come back to some of the catalysts that I may be able to identify. And no clear direction yet, whether we are moving upwards or downwards. It's not yet confirmed, but setup kind of favors the bulls if macro news continue to be positive, right? And this is a time, essentially all of us, we just have to sit and wait, right? No panic sell, of course. No FOMO, huge buy, lump sum in for now. But if you are a DCA gang, which I've learned, there's actually a DCA gang, right? Right. If you're one of the DCA gang, just let me know in the comment section. DCA gang, right? I think I'm a DCA gang now too. So yeah, so let me know. So yeah, if you're into DCA, pound cost average, dollar cost average, I think just continue with that. I think it's so always good to acquire Bitcoin at the low. Come on, $95,000 Bitcoin is pretty cheap right now. Okay, so let's move on to the fear and greed index. We are currently at the neutral zone, 49. Yesterday we were also in the neutral zone at 50, I believe. It was 50 yesterday. Yeah, around 50. So in terms of fear and greed, I think the fact that we are, we had a day of greed and then essentially helping us to move much more further away from fear. So I think overall it's good. Sentiment, it's shifting positive. We're not at any bull situation yet, but we are kind of grinding upwards. So I think that's all good. Let's take a quick look in terms of ETF. How are we doing in terms of ETF? I think yesterday, the 16th of January, Friday's data, it's bearish of $394 million worth of outflow from Bitcoin ETF. And a Bitcoin ETF, I think huge, major outflow were from Fidelity, followed by Bitwise and ARK Invest, right? And also some from Grayscale. So overall, if we look at Bitcoin for monthly so far for the month of January, it still remained positive, approximately 1.21 billion worth of inflow. Weekly, I think the same 1.42 worth of inflow for Bitcoin in comparison to last week. I think it's pretty positive in a way because, last week we were pretty bearish at 681 million worth of outflow. But so far, I think things are picking up. Things are picking up for sure. I think that's good for Bitcoin overall. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum so far, it's out inflow of $4.7 million. And on a weekly basis, I think Ethereum for this week, it's also 479 million worth of inflow. So that's good for Ethereum. And for Solana, sold ETF, 16th of Jan. This is actually the first time after many days, the first outflow of approximately $2.2 million worth of outflow, which probably it's a nothing burger because Solana has always been doing great inflow. So for this specific week, I think Solana brought in approximately 46 million worth of inflow compared to last week. Definitely it's a progress of, last week was 41 million, this week is 46 million. But interesting enough, yesterday was the first outflow for many days, right? So the last outflow for Sol was sometime in the 3rd of December, which was negative $32 million outflow, which in comparison to that, this is probably nothing. So the last 3 Solana outflow, the other one was sometime in 1st of December, negative $13 million outflow, and another one is negative 8.1 million outflow. So yesterday's outflow was actually not that bad at all. Okay, so I think ETF wise, I think still bullish, still plenty of room to grow. I think it's showing good momentum. We are kind of halfway through January. So far it's still more. Yeah, I think so far for Bitcoin at least is still more inflow. So maybe we can continue with such positivity and continue to get to about $2 billion worth of inflow. Okay, so we need the ETF to constantly be buying, guys, right? I think ETFs are even worse than the retail holders like us. Any news, any macro negativity, they'll just sell, and immediately it's going to affect the price, right? And these are definitely much weaker hands than us, the retail that buys through exchange and holds the raw Bitcoin, I guess. But anyway, let's move on to the section that That's about news that moves Bitcoin price section. Okay, so what do we have here? White House, highly confident, Supreme Court, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Okay, so White House, highly confident Supreme Court will rule in favor of President Trump's tariffs, right? So the White House, through economic advisor Kevin Hassett, expressed strong belief that the Supreme Court will uphold Trump's tariffs under the IEEPA law, right? So this comes as the court could rule soon with tariffs already in place on many, many countries. And why it matters, this news, tariffs have been a big macro factor creating uncertainty that affect risk asset like Bitcoin, like any of your stocks and shares, your growth stocks, etc., right? So a favorable ruling would maintain the status quo, of course, potentially stabilizing trade, but keeping pressure on global growth. So I think at announcement, yesterday from the White House event, markets were steady but kind of watchful. And of course, I think short term it's neutral to bearish, right? Because there's still uncertainty, right? Without formal confirmation, we just have to expect more volatility, especially on Bitcoin, right? Market makers love this kind of time, this kind of event, that they will come in and manipulate the market. They'll do heavy dumping, heavy buying, just to wash out the leverage trading, right? So, I mean, this will be the time, as I mentioned earlier, you just sit and wait and see how the price action, right? Because there's no point to be, getting bullish and speculate that this will definitely happen, right? And there's no point to dump too, right? Because we can potentially still have plenty of upside coming. So that matters. So keep up with that. And of course, I think market dump after President Trump comments on Fed and Kevin Hassett. Okay, so Kevin Walsh, Fed chair, odds soar after Trump says he wants to keep Hassett where he is, right? While President Trump did not explicitly announce his decision, he indicated he would prefer to keep White House National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett in his current position. Okay, so a bit of background. Trump commented that Fed officials don't talk much. He, of course, praised Hassett a lot as a good on TV person and said he wants to keep him where he is. Of course, signaling Hassett might not become the Fed chair. Okay? And of course, I think certainly it have an immediate effect on the prediction market on Kalshi. 61% of the total bets were on Walsh to be nominated as Fed chair. Poly market about 59%. So Trump has indicated earlier that he has made up his mind on the decision on the next Fed chair and would make an announcement this month. So that's very, very soon. Another 2 weeks, then we'll know who's going to be the new Fed chair. Okay? And it's definitely not going to be Jerome Powell. So that's good. I think all of us are happy. Happy? No? Yeah? Drop a like. Let me know if you guys are happy. Or let me know in the comment section. Do you guys actually look forward to this? Okay, so background, Hassett is seen as a pro-liquidity and rate cut friendly person. So I think immediately it has, after this news came out, it have some sort of an implication on Bitcoin and the rest of the market, because markets had bet on asset for easier policy for sure. This hint lowered those odds, leading to repricing. So at the time of comment, immediately Bitcoin dropped 1,300. It's a 1.32% drop. Gold fell about 1.78% to about $80. Silver fell by 3.3%. Nasdaq fell by about 0.5%. Okay, so short-term wise, I think it's pretty bearish. Because it reduced easy money expectation. It's causing uncertainty in the market. But long-term wise, I think neutral for now. Definitely, he might not be the pro liquidity and rate cut individual, unlike Hassett. But we'll see. But for now, I think a lot of uncertainty starts building up. So that's why, as reflected in the market. Okay. Next news that I think still affecting Bitcoin price. Tariffs just got weaponized again by Trump. So Trump says countries opposing U.S. Greenland plan could face tariffs. Okay, damn tariffs. This tariffs, it's definitely suppressing the market. I think in a way could be a good thing because you don't want the market to pump right now. And of course, I don't think Trump wants the market to pump so high right now because you know what? He wants the market to pump towards the summer period, towards August, September, much more closer to the midterm, right? So imagine if there's no negativity right now to suppress the market a little bit, maybe by March, the market could pump and ended the pump, right? And that will not reflect well on Trump's midterm, I guess. So, background, Trump stated countries opposing the U.S. plans for Greenland, citing national security and mineral, could face tariffs. This isn't a direct trade issue, but leverage negotiations. Okay, so I think it really does matter because it shows tariffs as a foreign policy tool, adding uncertainty. Market stretched it off initially at announcement. I don't think there were much big movement for Bitcoin, but I think things are, the uncertainty are rising, definitely for sure. So short term, I think it's neutral. Market kind of absorbed without too much panic. But of course, favoring volatile asset like Bitcoin. So long term, I think it's all going to be bullish. I think if it leads to selective enforcement, Bitcoin could potentially benefit as a hedge against any of the policy limbo. Okay, so I think for now, we'll just have to wait and see. Not the best thing we want for tariffs, but we'll just have to wait. Okay, and then moving on to other interesting news section. Tom Lee. I love Tom Lee. I love his wiggle head. Okay, Tom Lee. Just to highlight, Tom Lee, BitMine just bought $76 million worth of Ethereum, right? He crazily spent $200 million on Mr. Beast. So yeah, I think BitMine, Tom Lee are trying to get their names out there, trying to get more investors on board. And somehow with all of this, heavy buying, acquisition, it's definitely giving them awareness as well as a visibility. Okay. And of course, apart from buying, their holding is well over 4.16 million worth of ETH, right? That's about $13 billion US dollars, by the way. Okay. As a reminder, Ethereum doesn't have a cap supply like Bitcoin. So Bitcoin only have 21 million worth of Bitcoin in total, right? So in a way, Ethereum, it's not really it's not really a hedge against inflation. Personally, I don't think it is. It's not a store of value, unlike gold or and Bitcoin. So take note of that. So of course, I'm not calling out Ethereum for you guys to buy Ethereum. I'm just giving you indication what's going on, because Ethereum remains the second largest crypto, just behind Bitcoin, right? So that's why I cover it every now and then. And besides Tom Lee, I like Tom Lee. And why it matters, it shows big institution confidence in Ethereum, especially as Bitcoin dominates, could draw attention to altcoins too very, very soon, I hope. Okay. And of course, short-term neutral for Bitcoin. And for Ethereum, I think this is kind of like another awareness building campaign for Ethereum. Ethereum strengths will essentially steal some of the spotlight away from Bitcoin and other cryptos. But for longer term wise, I think it's bullish for Bitcoin, because institutional buys in ecosystem always support Bitcoin. There will always be money that flows back into Bitcoin. There will be rebalancing, etc., right? So it's all good. And other things that I think is worth the while to cover, right? It's you can now use your Bitcoin to buy a house without selling a single Satoshi. Okay. I think many of you guys that, follow me in my compound life, many probably started your journey through properties, real estate investment, right? Because I'm assuming this, just the fact that because many of you guys are kind of in that age range. So I've checked my YouTube stats. I think I've got a heavy users between, age 40 to about 55 viewers. So assuming many of you probably have mortgages or property homeowner, or many of you could be a bit like me, because when we started off our investment journey, Bitcoin wasn't even ready at that time. So at least for me, I started my journey investing in properties, real estates, that gotten quite well now. Have some passive income. So that's all good, right? And then for many that are also thinking, maybe I want to accumulate some Bitcoin, have some growth that helps me to pay off my properties, etc. I think now these are opportunity, right? So I still kind of believe that everyone, we might need to diversify our asset ownership a little bit. And definitely for sure getting into hard asset like real estates, properties, Bitcoin, or even gold, right? Right now, I don't hold any gold. I might do in the future, but definitely not now. I personally think, since the fact that, gold is already pretty high, the best thing is just wait another few more years. When it did get its to bottom, then I'll get in. So the point that I want to emphasize is how important it is to hold hard asset like properties, real estate, gold, and Bitcoin. Okay, and that's not exactly the order. Okay, so I think many of you guys that watches my channel mainly follow my Bitcoin content. It does seem many of you guys are probably OGs or whales. Unlike me, I'm like nowhere near OGs or whales. Probably a shrimp, maybe. I don't know, crab, shrimp. But anyway, I think the fact that many of you guys want to start off with Bitcoin, and do you actually sell your Bitcoin or do you actually hold it enough that you can actually take a loan from it? So I think these are all solutions for you guys. And we all should be happy of it, right? Because this kind of promotes adoption. There will be more use cases, and you don't have to sell your Bitcoin in the future, right? You can hodl your Bitcoin forever and just get a loan from it. And that's good, right? Certainly, this news is not available yet in the UK, but I do suspect that this will be in the pipeline. As soon as we get more clarity for Bitcoin and crypto ownership in the UK, this will be available in the UK in the near futures, probably in a few more years' time. So just continue to hodl, continue to DCA. That's the best thing for Bitcoin, right? Come on, guys. The institutions are now adopting Bitcoin, and then there will be more products and offering for Bitcoin ownership. And one day you can just keep on buying, and no more selling for Bitcoin, and still make a living, pay off your lifestyle chips, use that to pay off for your lifestyle. So I think all is good for Bitcoin, guys. Okay, so major lender Nures, it's kind of like the top 5 lender, by the way, in the US, I think, right? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, will count Bitcoin, Ethereum, stablecoin as assets for loan qualifications starting from February 2026. No liquidation needed. Okay, so you don't have to sell, turn it into fiat to actually get a loan now, right? So that's very, very good, guys. Why it matters? Because it helps bridges crypto to real world finance, making holding useful without cashing out. This is the best thing of holding crypto now, right? And I think this gives so much more opportunity for you, me, and anyone else that want to achieve financial freedom, time freedom, right? So you don't even need to sell your Bitcoin and crypto, pay heavy, crazy capital gain tax, and then you can keep on hodling, right? So where possible, guys, I mean, take this as the opportunity to leverage and to help you to grow to a bigger wealth, right? Yes, owning Bitcoin, it's incredible, but having the ability to utilize Bitcoin as a leverage to grow more asset, guys, this is incredible. This is such an incredible news. I just hope it will be available in the UK very, very soon. But anyway, I hope you guys are, excited hearing this news. Let me know in the comment section. Always let me know in the comment section. Because, guys, most of the time I felt that I'm talking to myself most of the time. But anyway, another news to cover. US Bitcoin news. Trump admin says it did not and will not sell any Bitcoin. So Trump's crypto executive director confirms US won't sell BTC forfeited from Samurai wallet, adding it to strategic Bitcoin reserve. Why it matters, right? I think it really does matter. It shows government holding BTC long-term, reducing sell pressure, right? You don't want another Germany starts to sell Bitcoin to try to pay off debt, right? I think Germany, they sold their Bitcoin at around $50,000. I remember that time. I was like, oh man, Bitcoin is going down. Do I sell? Do I sell? Do I sell? No, you don't sell at that time, guys. That is not the time to be weak hand. That would be the time to aggressively be buying, because weak hands like Germany sold. And look at Bitcoin price now. Although we are still far from the previous all-time high of 126,000, but look at the price compared to when Germany sold, right? So, yeah, I think it's so positive to hear back that US continue to hodl. They're not buying yet. But I think this has become a very, very strategic asset, because I somehow felt US are running out of gold to buy, right? And for the rest of other countries that doesn't dare to get into Bitcoin, like China, right, or even Russia, but Russia is dabbling into Bitcoin soon. They're only buying gold in China, but in that case, US needs something even more strategic to outpace a little bit of China. So that's where Bitcoin comes in. So I think all good for Bitcoin. Okay, so last thing I want to show you guys, it's a bit of a hopium of the day. Where is it coming from? This guy, Sminton with. So bull run, BTC follow goals, right? So this is one thing that I want to highlight today as a very, very key highlight. Okay, so hopium chart of the day. Bitcoin bull runs tend to start after gold starts rising. Okay, so we obviously know gold started rising. Did very, very well, by the way, right? So congrats to one of you that hold gold and Bitcoin together. You guys somehow cracked it. So well done for having a very, very good year for 2025. And more importantly, just to let you guys know, remember to take profit for your gold, right? Because what I'm about to tell you will be rotation, right? And what you need to know is no asset will only keeps on going up, right? It's going to come to a point that it will stop and then it will drop, right? You don't want to hodl your gold. I mean, potentially you can hodl it forever like Bitcoin because it's such a hard asset, right? But for slightly savvier investor, what you might want to do might be to sell some and then so that you can get back to the accumulation period again, like what's being shown here on the chart, and to accumulate again. So not financial advice, do your own research, but these are just things that I think probably make sense. Okay, so what does this chart show in the big picture? Well, this chart is saying Bitcoin bull runs tend to start after the gold starts rising. And Bitcoin usually follow gold with a delay that moves much more aggressively. So, of course, taking into consideration gold move first, Bitcoin reacts later, but harder and a lot harder. It's essentially what the chart's trying to show us, right? So how do you read it, right? So from top to bottom, this top panel here that you are seeing here, it's Bitcoin versus its long-term trend. By the way, this is a residual chart. Instead of showing raw price, the chart shows price divided by long-term trends, so the moving average, okay, so that it's scale enough that you can do proper comparison, okay? So this shows when Bitcoin is cheap or expensive compared to its long-term model. So as you can see, Bitcoin gray out area, that's the boring accumulation phase, and of course orange essentially means bull phase for Bitcoin, right? The full bull run. Okay, so Bitcoin doesn't randomly pump; it does it in clear cycle. Is what represents here. Okay, and of course, if we look through the middle panel here, this represents gold versus its long-term trend. Same idea, but for gold, it shows yellow, right? Yellow, gold, bull market, and then leading onto the gray, it's essentially this is the time where you need to accumulate, right? So this is why I said, give yourself the opportunity to take profit, right? You don't have to wait. The same for Bitcoin, the same for any other asset. You don't have to wait until it gets to the top because you can never ever time the top, right? So this is how rotation works, right? So a lot of investors, they invest in gold. It comes to a point that they took profit and then they will invest into Bitcoin because they know that gold run first, followed by Bitcoin, right? Gold run first, right? And then Bitcoin is still accumulation phase. And then immediately they change their investment and rotate into Bitcoin and enjoy some of the Bitcoin pump. So gold run and then followed by Bitcoin. So now this is the phase we are. Gold, run, will Bitcoin pump? Okay, that's the question, right? No one knows. No one knows. Do your own research. These are all speculation. But certainly history does repeat. Okay, it doesn't always repeat, but certainly it rhymes sometime. Okay, sometime. Okay, no, not financial advice, to your own research, but I'm just giving you some hopium chart for the day. I hope you guys like it. Okay, and for the bottom panel, the key insight. So this is like the money shot now, right? So this is the money shot. Okay, so yellow line, gold price. Okay, orange line, Bitcoin bull run. Okay, so the arrows show the time delay between gold breakout and then Bitcoin going vertical. So for this run, about 428 days. The arrow showed the time delay between gold breakout and then Bitcoin going vertical. So example, gold bull, this takes about 428 days, 243 days, and this takes about 63 days. Same pattern, of course, different timing. So what this actually means, if you're just purely looking at this chart, right? So gold is the early warning signal. Bitcoin is the high beta reaction. So you get some early signal, high beta reaction that shoots up very, very fast. Early signal shoots up very fast. Early signal shoots up very fast. And one thing to take note is how fast it shoots up, right? So previously it took longer, shorter, and will this time round it shoots up fast, but even in a shorter period of time. So if people were to rotate in from gold to Bitcoin, I think they are rotating it pretty fast, because knowing that perhaps the period that leads on to Bitcoin run will be very fast too, right? So again, a lot of indication signaling that potentially there could still be a good run for Bitcoin, at least for a dead cat bounce, or even perhaps heading onto 126Ks and onwards, right? We've got the Fed, QE coming, rate cut coming, and so forth, right? I'm not saying that all of this will instantaneously pump Bitcoin, but it will take time. So yeah, I think it's something to look forward to. So right now, gold is strong again, which is why people are watching Bitcoin closely, and I'm watching Bitcoin closely. So I'm letting you guys know what's happening. So I think key takeaway for Bitcoin holders, right? If you hold Bitcoin, this chart is not saying numbers go up tomorrow. It's saying when gold leads, Bitcoin eventually follow, and when it does, guys, it moves very, very fast. Okay, so that's why long-term Bitcoin holders, we always cover some of gold, right? Because we want to see how fast things change. Okay, so hit the like, hit subscribe. Let me know who you guys are. Follow me. I'll drop alpha as such every now and then, so that we all know what's the timing and the rhythm to buy and sell, etc., etc. So I don't really do day trading signals and all of that. I'm more of a long-term investors, buy and hold kind of person. And of course, I think the most important thing is diversify. I think, like me, I guess properties, real estate are as important as my Bitcoin too. Okay, so there you go, guys. Overall 24 hours Bitcoin dip, small 95,000. I think some macro noise definitely affecting the Bitcoin price. But having said that, I think we are kind of going through the zone. The volatility are being compressed, so we should see some breakout soon. Okay, so that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.